Hey guys, I just wanted to come on camera here and talk to you about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, obviously, this is not what I normally do. This isn't a Mini Mondays, it's not an EyeofSol review, it's not anything, really. It's mostly just me coming onto the camera, speaking as a Legend of Zelda fan, a gamer, a human being, and a critic. So, it's not a review of Breath of the Wild. These are just my honest thoughts, okay? Now, I want to preface this by saying, yes, this is unscripted, so obviously it's not going to be as focused as my real reviews, but I feel like what I have to say is not something I can really script because I just need to speak from the heart about this. So, yeah, and also let me make this very clear before I even start. Breath of the Wild is a good game. I had a lot of fun with it. I played it for 120 hours. I 100% of the game, not counting getting all the Korok seeds. I got like 260 something of them, and that was enough to beat the game with. So yeah, I did basically everything I could in the game, not counting the Korok seeds. So I didn't just pick it up for an hour and then I'm just saying this now. These are my complete, near 100% level thoughts of the game, okay? So yes, it's a good game. I had a lot of fun with it. I played it right through to the end. And that's kind of why I'm doing this, actually. It's because I was so excited for this game. Anyone who knew me knew that I was just shitting my pants for years about this game. The second they announced it, I was more excited. I had felt more excited for a game than I had in years. Because so many games I want to play are just not coming out. So, like Kingdom Hearts 3, The Fractured Butthole, all these games that I have been waiting ages and ages for are just not coming out. So when Breath of the Wild, when it was actually, they were committing to a release date, I was so excited. And what I was thinking at that time is that Nintendo finally got it. They finally get what they need to do. And Nintendo for a long time has been doing their own thing with a lot of their technology, and that's fine to a certain extent. I mean, you could see with the Wii U, obviously, it didn't exactly work. The Wii U was a commercial failure for the most part. So Nintendo, for a long time, I mean, Nintendo is very special to me, but Nintendo for a long time have just kind of been doing their own thing. But with their Zelda franchise, I always felt like they had been stuck in this rut, especially with A Link Between Worlds, which, again, really good game. I quite like the game, but the story has been in a rut for a very long time. We all know the story of The Legend of Zelda, obviously. I mean, it's as formulaic as Mario now. Anyone can tell you the story of Legend of Zelda. And that's kind of where the problem lay with me, is that The Legend of Zelda is the type of franchise that can mature. I mean, we've seen it mature. We've seen it go from, simple 2D sprites on the screen to massive open-world adventures. And that's what I like about the Legend of Zelda series, is that it can take on all these different incarnations and still be The Legend of Zelda. That's what I've always felt like. That's why I like Skyward Sword. That's why I love Twilight Princess. That's why I liked Phantom Hourglass, of all things. I think the only Legend of Zelda game I don't like is Spirit Tracks. And even then, it's okay, it's just, I don't really like it. But anyway, getting back on track here. So yeah, the Legend of Zelda series I've always felt is something that has been very good at evolving over time, but not really evolving in the way that I would like to see it. But when I saw the Breath of the Wild trailer originally, well, before it was called Breath of the Wild, when I saw it, I had this really, really intense spark of hope that Nintendo finally understood what was happening with their fans. Their fan base, people like me. People who have been following their franchise for decades now. They finally got it. That's what I felt. Is that they finally understood that their fan base was maturing and that they had to mature with it. Okay, that's what I felt. In fact, that's what I felt back at the Twilight Princess days, and, well, I was kind of right with that they sort of understood they had to go in a more mature path because that's where their fans were going. They didn't really go all the way with that, but that's okay. Like I said, it's just steps. So with Breath of the Wild, I got really excited because I thought this was going to be the culmination of all these points I want to make. Is that the game would be mature for its fan base. And I don't mean mature like blood and gore and everything like that. I mean mature in the story. Mature in that they finally felt they were strong enough to have voice actors. That they were strong enough to give Zelda a personality. That they were strong enough to have a story that was outside the typical Link goes to find Zelda and beats Ganon sort of thing, which, yes, is the story of Zelda, or is the story of Breath of the Wild. So before I go any further, let me just say, there is spoilers in the thing I'm going to explain next, so please just, if you haven't played to the end of the game, just, there are spoilers, okay? Quite large spoilers. I'm trying to minimize the spoilers, but yeah. Okay. So, because they had this opportunity with their new technology, the Switch, with their new technology, their new team, their new vision, all I could think was that this is finally going to be a Zelda story. Not a Zelda game, a Zelda story. A story that has characters with personalities, characters with dilemmas, things like that. And yes, it did happen. Zelda has a dilemma in it, and it's quite well presented. Zelda, I think, is the best aspect of the game in the story, because they gave her real personality and everything. The problem I have is not with Zelda, it's with Link. So when I say that Nintendo needed to mature, what I mean is that they needed to mature character-wise. And with Link, it was a great opportunity to make a mature Link. And no, like I said, not one that goes around being grumpy all the time, you know, slitting wrists and everything like that, cutting off heads. That's not what I mean by mature. I mean mature in that he is allowed to have a character. Because if you look back through all the Zelda games, Link has never really had a character. He's had personality, for sure. In Wind Waker, in Twilight Princess, even in Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, he has a personality. It's not great, but it's there. It's simple. It's something that the player can project themselves onto. So he had a simple personality. But this was a chance to give him a character. To have him not just be the guy who goes around saving everything. To make him have a struggle or a flaw that he has to deal with. Something that he could use, something that Zelda sees in him, something the other characters see in him, something that Ganon would point out. I know Ganon's not really a character in Breath of the Wild, but you know what I mean. So this was the perfect opportunity. This is what I was expecting, that they were going to make Link a real character now. And that's why I was excited, because Link to me has always been very special, and not just because I can project my own thoughts and feelings onto him as I play the game, but Link to me has always been almost interesting enough to be a character. Because the elements are there. He's strong, he's righteous, he's heroic, courageous, obviously. That's who he is. And so that type of character would be great to play with in an open world environment like Breath of the Wild. He doesn't have to talk. A lot of people think that he needs to talk in order to have a character, but he doesn't. He doesn't need to talk. There are so many non-verbal cues that you could give a character to actually have them have a character. But with this, it was a wasted opportunity. It was so wasted that it honestly makes me mad, and that's why I'm making this video. So, I didn't really realize it at first. It didn't really hit me until I beat the game. But let me give you an example here. There are 18 memories in the game, okay? Which in an open world game really doesn't seem like much. But that's 18 pieces of story, not counting the tutorial area or anything like that, or the end game area. So 18 cutscenes to have story in it. In that entire 18 cutscene length, Link never smiles or changes his face at all. Not once. And everyone is doing things that would have him react to it. You know, Zelda shoving a frog into his face, or having rocks fall down from Death Mountain. It's not as though Link is put into these situations where he doesn't have to react to them, it's just that he doesn't react to them. He is, by the most literal definition I could think of, he is a blank slate in this game, and that's the complete opposite of what they should have done. This was an opportunity to give Link a real character, because he has this huge problem to deal with. The world has ended in this story, and he's been dead for 100 years, so why is it that Nintendo just decided to have him be a prop? A non-reactionary thing? You know, he's in the cutscenes, I cannot count a single time where he did anything useful at all. There's one scene where he protects Zelda from some attacking Yuga clan people. That's it. That's the only time he ever does anything useful in the scenes. And it's honestly sickening to me. It's just such a wasted opportunity. And like I said, he doesn't have to talk to be a character. But the fact that he never reacts to anything, he just stands there with that placid look on his face, just not reacting to anything. It's so frustrating to me that I just want to scream. And you might be asking yourselves why this matters to me at all. You know, it sounds like a pretty minor problem that Link doesn't react to it, but it's actually something that breaks the game for me. Like, when I look back, I'm thinking, oh, I had so much fun with Breath of the Wild, but then I remember, but Link he was a non-entity in the game. So what was I working towards while you were working towards saving Zelda? Well, what do you get at the end of the game when you get Zelda? You beat the evil, you get Zelda. Well, you don't get shit at the end of the game. And you know how most open world games, they have end game content? Even Final Fantasy 15, a game I have gone on record not liking, has a better ending than Breath of the Wild, because not only does it have end game content, you get to see the world be saved, for one. Also, it understands that in an open world game, you've obviously spent a lot of time in the story, so you're going to want to see a resolution to everything. And not just a, okay, everything's fine now, bye, resolution. You want to see the characters wrap up their stories and everything like that. You want to see a resolution that actually matters. Something that makes you feel like all those hours you put in matter. With Breath of the Wild, it doesn't matter. You beat the game, you save the world, you kill Ganon, or whatever, you seal him, or, you know, some shit like that. And what do you get for it? You don't even get a fucking thank you. You don't get anything for beating the game. You know what you get? Zelda stands there and she says, "Do you remember me now?" And you know what Link does? Nothing. He doesn't react to her being back. He doesn't smile, he doesn't wave, he doesn't even do that little shy thing he does when he puts on the Gerudo clothing. He doesn't do anything when you beat the game, which just... And then there's the cutscene after the game, too, where Zelda's like, oh, we need to rebuild the world, and blah, blah, blah. And again, Link doesn't do anything. He doesn't react to anything. And it's so frustrating, because it would have been so easy to make Link a real character in this. They had every opportunity. Everyone is always telling him that he's great, that the world basically belongs to him. All these shrines were put there for him. All of these things were set in place for him to save the world. There's this one thing that really bothers me about the game, actually. And it's the only part that I thought was really interesting, is that, again, spoilers, when you go to Hyrule Castle and you go to Zelda's bedroom, there's a journal that you can look at where Zelda says that Link doesn't talk because he's shouldering some heavy burden or something like that, because the Master Sword chose him and he can't own up to his destiny or something. Nowhere in the game does it make that clear that that's happening. The only reason you can think that is because the journal says so. So, the reason this bothers me is because this is a huge game, okay? Huge. Massive game. Why don't they have any cutscenes showing Link as a person, okay? They mention his father in one of the cutscenes. Okay, show us a cutscene with Link and his father. Show him a cutscene of him deciding to be a knight. Show a cutscene of him being chosen by the Master Sword. Show something. This is the problem. This game violates the show don't tell rule so bad that it just makes me want to kick something. Seriously, this is a huge game with massive opportunities, and they just... they wasted it. They wasted it. And I don't think I can forgive that. Now, I've seen a lot of shit, you know, I review a lot of animation where they have wasted opportunities, like Le Magasin de Suicide was a massive wasted opportunity, but at least it was just a movie. You know, it was like an hour and something minutes long. It didn't feel like that much of a drain on my soul, even though it was a big wasted opportunity. But with this, it was 120 hours I wasted for no payoff at all. And to me, it feels like Nintendo doesn't care anymore. They don't care. And that might sound wrong to you, because it's like, well, if they didn't care, they wouldn't make this game in the first place. But the reason I say that I think they don't care is going back to my previous point, is that Nintendo's fan base has matured to a point where they expect more out of a game. If they didn't, they wouldn't make an open world game of this size, okay? They would just keep making linear games. That's what they would do, and to be honest, that's what I think they're best at. But they understand the need to mature along with their fan base, I think. I'd like to say I think that they understand it, but then if they understood it, why wouldn't they make Link a real character? You know, Link is a massive part of a lot of people's lives, especially mine. He is an important symbol in a lot of people's lives, just as the games themselves are very important in people's lives. So why are they so afraid to give Link a character? Why are they so afraid to have him react to things that are happening around him? The world is literally ending around him, and he doesn't do a thing. He doesn't, you know, his face doesn't move, he doesn't cry, he doesn't smile, he just doesn't react to anything, and it's sad, you know? It's so close to being good, because like I said, with Zelda and the other Guardians and everything like that, or what champions, sorry, the other champions, they came so close to being good, but they had to ruin it. Because the main fucking character has no character. And that, to me, it's insulting. Like, I am actually mad because of it. Because I thought all this time that Nintendo was going to do something better, and they didn't. In fact, they took a whole bunch of steps back, in my opinion, because they've had Links with personality before. Like I said, Wind Waker does, Twilight Princess does, sort of, Skyward Sword definitely does. But he doesn't, and he is the biggest Link of them all, if you think about it. I mean, he has the biggest journey to go on, and, okay. Well, anyway, I have a few other gripes with it, but that's my huge problem, and that's why I wanted to make this admittedly somewhat rambling video, is that Link is a massive wasted opportunity. It feels like an insult, but I have other problems too that I really think they should fix. Like, why don't they have a previous weapon button in the game? Why is it you can't just press the button on the controller to make you go back to the previous weapon? Because when you have full weapon inventory, it is such a pain in the ass to keep scrolling through everything, and I'm sure someone else has said this before. But yeah, I probably wasted 3 hours alone, cumulative time, just going back and forth on my quick weapon select, choosing weapons. So yeah, previous weapon button would be really nice. Definitely, that would be good. I do have other problems too. Sometimes climbing trees can be pretty frustrating. Climbing walls when you're trying to, you know, run away from shit's pretty annoying. But yeah, you know what? For the most part, the game itself is pretty solidly constructed. I don't really have any criticisms for the game itself. It's mostly just the story aspect of it that really bothers me. And that's because Legend of Zelda is so important to me. Because I adore the series so much. I mean, obviously you can see, I mean, look at all my Zelda stuff. Look at all my Zelda stuff, okay? It's a huge part of my life. I love Zelda. If I didn't love Zelda, I wouldn't even bother with this video. I would have just been like, huh, and just move on with my life. But apparently I couldn't move on and I had to make this video. So, yeah, all you guys out there, if you're planning to buy Breath of the Wild, I do recommend it. I mean, like I said, this isn't a review or anything. I do recommend it. But it just doesn't satisfy on all levels, and that's kind of why I'm bothered by all these 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, 100 out of 100 reviews and everything. You can't say something's perfect when it's not, okay? And I know it's just my opinion, and it's true. It is my opinion that it's not a perfect game. But that's the thing, is I feel like people are overlooking these problems because they want it to be good, and I want it to be good too, obviously. I don't want to play a bad game, I want to play a good game. And it is good. But people are so blinded by the fact that they want this to be good that they just think it's good. But really, how can you excuse 10 frames per second in the Korok Woods? How can you excuse no quick weapon select? How can you excuse not needing a horse at all because you have to get off your horse every 2 seconds to pick some stupid shit up? How can you excuse limited food inventory? How can you excuse that stuff and still pretend it's a perfect game? Because it's not. It's not a perfect game. And people were just, they were so blinded by how good the first hour or so was that they just wanted the rest of the game to be good too, but it's not. It's a good game, but it's not perfect. And it has one extremely huge, insulting, saddening, maddening flaw that to me means I probably will never play that game again. And I bought a whole new console to play that game, and I'm probably never going to play it again, because it's reductive to what makes The Legend of Zelda so good. So I think that Nintendo needs to kind of pull up its pants and understand that its fans need to see something better than what they have. And not in the gameplay department, in the story department. They need to understand that the people who play their games aren't just mindless idiots who will swallow anything that they give them. They need to understand that they have to mature the fuck up and give us something tangible to grip on. And they did that, okay? They did it in some aspects with Zelda. Like I said, Zelda is an actual good character, for the most part. But it's not good enough. You know, it's just not good enough. And that might sound incredibly selfish of me to say that this huge, massive game that took years to develop is not good enough. But it's not good enough where it matters the most to me. And that's what really disappoints me. Now I know this video is super long, considering I only really had one point to make. And I apologize if it was rambling, but it's kind of hard to articulate why this game upsets me so much. It is a good game, and I apologize for not being able to use any footage as well, because Nintendo are big crotchety grandmas about copyright, and they've already copyright claimed a whole bunch of my stuff. So, yeah, sorry for not using any footage. But that's just how I feel. And if you disagree, that's fine. In fact, if you want to tell me what you think of the game, if you've played it, if you like the ending, if you dislike the ending or the story, let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to see. Thanks for watching this weird video. I'm technically still on hiatus until Monday? Yeah, until Monday. And then I'll be working on the next review. But yeah, thanks for watching my weird rambling video, guys. I don't plan to do this, like, at all ever again. This is a special thing. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and got out of it what you will, I suppose. And I will see you on Friday for a new review. See you guys.